John Fredericks, America's Godzilla of Truth. He's popular and proficient in picking politics with prophetic precision. And now J. Fred's picking sports. Are y'all ready for this? All across the airwaves and streams of the John Fredericks Media Network, John, Jack, and Nate, three guys that are pretty wise when it comes to picking winners. Football, basketball, baseball, soccer, golf, UFC battles, you name it. When the game is on your mind and money's on the line, Godzilla Wins is your guide to picking winners. Before you make that play, hear what J. Fred has to say. Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network.
Oh yeah, for entertainment purposes only.
Everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Godzilla Wins Saturday Picks Show. I'm your host, Jack Fredericks, alongside my father, the Godzilla of Truth, as always, John Fredericks, and senior editor to GodzillaWins.com, Nate Perry. We're going to be joined in the first hour talking college football with senior writer for GodzillaWins.com, Dan Angel. He's going to come in and break down all of these games. He's been hard at work right around the holidays, handicapping all these college football games for you. And we are going to do the same on the show today. And then at the top of the hour, we're talking NFL with James Tillman III for the first half hour and Mitch Rogers the second half hour. James writes about the Bears for us. Mitch writes about the Steelers for us. And so we're going to talk a lot of NFL football, some interesting games on the slate today. And of course, don't forget our college football and NFL saucy game of the week brought to you by Red State Barbecue. Will have those games with you as well. Now, GodzillaWins.com and all its subsidiaries are for entertainment purposes only. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537 in Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, Nebraska, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. 800-327-5050. Visit gamblinghelpline-ma.org in Massachusetts. Call 877-G-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY to 467-369 in New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 1-800-522-4700 in Kansas, New Hampshire, 888-789-777, or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa, or visit opgr.org in Oregon. If you have a gambling problem, please gamble responsibly. We're going to welcome in our guests, both Dan and Nate, here in a minute to talk a bunch of college football locked in for the week, heading into rivalry week next week. But Dad, before we do that, the most important thing we have to share with you at the beginning of the show, as always, is the Godzilla Wins promo code for DraftKings. If you live in a state where DraftKings is legal, Dad, how can you take advantage of what I consider to be the greatest promo code in all history of promo codes in the world?
Well, I don't know if you like to make money, maybe you don't. Maybe you don't like to make money. Maybe you like to lose money, or maybe you like to just lay around all day and wallow in your sorrow. But if you want to make money, DraftKings is the way to go. And here's why. All you have to do is go to DraftKings.com. DraftKings is an official sports betting partner of the NFL and the NBA. They have an unbelievable offer. Just download their app. Google Play, you can do it, App Store. Just download their app, put in $5. Now, what did you spend? Think about what you spent $5 on the past week, right? Coffee at the Dunkin' Donuts, right? Whatever. $5, right? $5 you put in, easy peasy. You're going to get $200 in free bets instantly. I mean, just like that, $200 of free bets. Then you can, follow one of us, follow our picks here in Godzilla Wins, turn that in to big dollars, all for $5. Get you right to Thanksgiving. $200 instantly in bonus bets for throwing down a fin. You can do that on the NBA, college football, NFL, NHL, like I do once in a while. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. You're going to start the season with an instant W. And with DraftKings parlays, everyone's got a shot at even bigger wins, football, basketball, whatever it is. String together multiple bets from the same game. You can build your own parlay across multiple games for a shot at making your payday even bigger. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use promo code Godzilla. Promo code Godzilla. New customers get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That is promo code Godzilla. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. Now, you have to be 21 or older. It has to be in a state where it's allowed, like Jack said. But the bonus bets are going to expire 186 hours after issuance, so you got to roll. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call the Problem Gambling Helpline, 888-532-3500. Get in the action with promo code Godzilla.
That's right. And we want to always thank DraftKings for partnering with us. If you like our show and like our product at GodzillaWins.com, be sure to take advantage of that promo code as well as the other promo codes we have for you, which we'll share throughout the show. Okay, we're going to welcome in Nate and Dan, talk some college football. Dan,
What's up, Nate?
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Nate's back in the dark there. Didn't bring his lights today.
Didn't have time.
Yeah, no time. That's
Just
all right.
rolled out of bed. Ready to go. What are you drinking there, Nate, in that glass? What is that? Coke.
Mm-hmm.
5 a.m. I like it. Not
Put
me.
on coffee at the bar.
Coffee, baby. So good. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Nate had no time to brew some beard vet coffee. Otherwise, he definitely would have. So Dan and Nate, I put together this schedule. I tried to get as many of the big games this week as possible. This week is always kind of a lull right before rivalry week. Sometimes teams will schedule schools that are not necessarily their biggest rival or a school that they can risk losing to. But, it can happen. I want to start, and I've also got some weird games on the schedule, which I think I took some from Dan's write-up and some just from my own personal enjoyment. But I want to start today with Michigan at Maryland. One of the reasons I put this on the schedule, to be honest with you, is that outside of the Michigan-Penn State game, because Michigan has played such a lousy schedule, I've noticed we just didn't talk about them almost all year because the games just weren't interesting. The spreads are just massive, and sometimes it just gets boring handicapping a good team going up against a bad team. But as Michigan is still dealing with the fallout of their scandal and is an undefeated team that is heading towards what looks to be another exciting matchup with Ohio State, another undefeated team in the Big Ten, I figured we'd start with the blue here. Dan, I'll start with you. Michigan's minus 18.5, so 18.5 point spread there, traveling to Maryland. Over-under's 49. What about this game intrigues you? Or maybe nothing intrigues you about this game?
I mean, there's really not a ton of intrigue here because Maryland is kind of proven that it's kind of a poor man's version of Penn State. Where Penn State is a really good team that isn't quite great, Maryland is a decent team that isn't quite good. Like the Terrapins managed to beat the lesser teams in the Big Ten. They've had no problem doing that, but they had a 4-game stretch where they just got beat repeatedly, and they weren't competitive at all against Ohio State or Penn State. I don't think this is going to be much different at all. Maryland's also had a thing for slow starts, which can be a bit of a death sentence against Michigan. So I think the Wolverines are probably going to come out looking to make another statement because, they're probably pretty ticked off about how everything has gone down. It's pretty just justifiable that the Big Ten gave out this punishment, but that hasn't changed anyone's feelings in Ann Arbor. So I think Maryland is probably going to bear the brunt of that, and I think Michigan can cover.
Yeah, you're right about those feelings, Dan, coming out of Ann Arbor. The Penn State game was an emotional win for them. It was a sort of an odd win. Their running backs coach coached the game, and they ended the game on 30 straight runs, which, hey, good for you. If you can't stop the run, might as well just keep doing it. Michigan is never afraid to win in a sloppy way, and Penn State can't seem to get past the big two. But after the game, the coach was pretty fired up, dropped the F-bomb a couple times on live TV, which was a little kind of interesting to see. But
yeah.
It seemed, I kind of thought that those games were on a delay, like a 5-second delay. But man, I caught the F word twice on live TV and was like, oh, he's going after it. And I figured after the first one, he'd be like, oh, I'm not allowed to do that. But no, he didn't seem to care.
He knew somebody was asleep at the wheel.
Yeah.
In the control center, he's like, you're going to let me say it, I'm going to say it.
Yeah. And the sideline reporter didn't really mention, she wasn't like, oh, hey, you can't say that. So just let him go off. So but my point here is that they feel like they're the victim, I guess. And that's how you sell this to any team. Anytime you're going through something, So I get it; it's college, right? But I mean, they're not the victim. They got caught cheating. So kind of an interesting way to motivate a team. Nate, do you think Michigan rolls here, or can Maryland keep it close enough at least to cover the spread?
Oh, I think Maryland can keep it close enough to cover the spread. We'll just get started off early disagreeing with Dan.
Yeah.
How'd that work out for you last week, Nate?
Number one. Not
Not
great.
very
Yeah,
good.
you had a good week last week, Dan. Yeah.
Yeah, good week.
I mean, I guess my thing is I don't like either really betting Michigan before they play Ohio State or Ohio State before they play Michigan. Like before the game, like neither of these teams are particularly good. The numbers since 2005 that I have here are they're Michigan and Ohio State are 12, 21, and 1 against the spread before the game.
Wow.
So, it's kind of like just like the classic like sandwich spot for Michigan. They just handled their business against Penn State. They have Ohio State on deck. I don't think that they're just going to be running up the score on Maryland just willy-nilly. I think they probably get a big lead or a decent lead and then just kind of just, run the ball and just take care of it. That's kind of what they've been doing anyways. I like Maryland plus points here, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Dad.
Well, guys, Nate, that was a lot of eyewash, kind of basically gibberish. I would fire that Coke up. I don't know what you're talking about here. Michigan is 19-point favorite. They have rolled. They have rolled over everybody. The problem is they can't get back. They can't get past Ohio State, and they can't get past. Michigan has look. Michigan has.
I need the Coke, huh?
Yeah. What are you trying to
Yeah.
say?
They've
Maybe you need
blown
some
everybody out. They've blown.
John, what did you add to that
out.
coffee?
If you look at last week's game, okay, you just look at the game last week, and I know that Penn State, we're going to get to that in a minute, and they had some big issues on offense, but that was a dominant game from Michigan. So the way I look at this game, they're 19 over Maryland. This is my best bet of the week. I seldom lose these best bets. This is going to be a blowout. The Terps cannot compete with this team. And I'll tell you the other thing. This is an angry and pissed off bunch of 18 to 23-year-olds that got thrown shade on them like something's wrong with their season because somebody alleged to have stolen signs or whatever's going on with Harbaugh. I don't think that matters. You saw that last week in a dominating performance on the road. Look, I bet Penn State last week. I took the 4.5. There was never a point in that game, Dan, ever, 3 hours, where I thought Penn State was actually going to win that game. I mean, it was 10 minutes in, and I'm like, I'm going to lose this bet. Dan was right. I mean, I love Penn State's defense. I love their speed, but they ran the football right at them last week, right up their throat, right down their groin, and pushed them out of the way. What do you think they're going to do to Maryland? I mean, Maryland really is. I get the whole thing. They're overlooking Maryland for Ohio State, but I think these kids are going to run up the score, and I think you're going to see a blowout. Michigan minus 19, best bet of the week.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing about Michigan that I'll say is that they're 5-4-1 against the spread, but most of the 3 of those 4 losses came early on in the season when they were playing teams that were not in the Big Ten. Since the Big Ten, I think they've only lost 1 and they pushed to Rutgers. So, I mean, they have been covering large spreads, 17.5 to Nebraska, 19 to Minnesota, 25 to Michigan State. They covered the 4 against Penn State last week. But I don't know. I mean, I think like Dan says, Maryland's a little bit better than some of these teams. 18.5 feels like a tight squeeze for Michigan. They might lay off the brakes, but I kind of like them at minus 18.5 too, just because they've been covering everything else. Why wouldn't they just cover this? But we'll see. Let's move to Louisville, traveling down to Miami. This one much closer spread here, plus 1. 46.5 is the over under. Louisville, 10th team in the country, so pretty strong team there. Dan, we'll start with you again. Do you like Louisville in this game as the underdog, even though they are ranked 10th? Or did I write that spread down wrong?
Yeah, they're minus 1.5.
I've got Miami favored by 0.5 point here.
Yeah, okay, so it's all over the place. I mean,
It's all over
DraftKings
the board.
Yeah, DraftKings
DK's got
Louisville.
Miami -1, -105 for the juice right now.
Okay, yeah, so it's just a tight spread.
I just cannot get what in the world this love affair is with Miami. Like
I agree.
I don't know why people still think this team is all that good. Like there are lines that sometimes make no sense, and this really seems to be one of them. Louisville hasn't looked fantastic every week. They wobbled past Virginia last time out, but so did Miami, and Miami needed overtime to beat Virginia. Miami did look pretty decent against Florida State, but they did not look good against NC State. They didn't look good against North Carolina. Louisville is sitting at 9-1. They've played very well for most of the year. They just have that ugly loss against Pittsburgh.
Ugly.
But I just can't really wrap my head around Miami being favored here. I think Louisville comes out with the win.
Nate, you agree?
I don't know. I was kind of banging the drum for Louisville early in the season. Like when they played Notre Dame, I remember we kind of like had a little bit of a spirited debate about Louisville being a real team. And I feel like Dan's getting more behind Louisville, and I'm sort of backing away from them. They just feel like smoke and mirror. Like the more games I watch Louisville play, the more smoke and mirrors this feels. They needed that late comeback against Virginia. They've gone 4-0 in one possession games that really could have gone either way. I don't know. Miami just – I don't know what to think of either of these teams, but Miami just feels like a team that just sort of plays, like they're just going to play loose here and play spoiler to Louisville. This is the biggest game basically on their schedule now, it feels like, for them.
Yes, goes all the other big games they lost.
Yeah, I know. So,
there's nothing to spoil for Louisville.
There's like this.
I like Miami.
Dad?
I'm with Dan here. Well, first of all, Nate, Ann and Joe want to know when you coming to Pittsburgh. So you got to get down your schedule.
It's like,
so
that's like 12,000 miles away from me.
Well, there's this thing called an airplane.
Yeah, he's not going to Pittsburgh.
You got to get because it's cold, right? You go to Nashville, but now
Yeah,
cold in Reno.
Yeah, Reno gets.
I don't
cold.
travel to other cold places when it's cold in Reno.
We got
Are you gonna make
Steelers tickets. Steelers tickets that got your name on it. Okay, listen, I'm with Dan here. 100%. What is the love affair with Miami? I mean, it goes on every week. All this team does is lose games. You look at the game last week. I mean, I really think they played their heart out. They really wanted to be competitive against Florida State. They did end up covering, I believe. Could not win the game. And now Louisville, this has got to be the most disrespected team. This is number 10 team in the country. They're an underdog going to Miami that's unranked. So they get no respect. They're playing good football. Here's the other problem I've got with Miami. Okay, so in the I got thing says software update. I don't want that. So in last week's game, right? They had to bench their quarterback, Tyler Van Dyke. He gets benched, right? Wasn't doing crap. Then they put in Emory Williams. He breaks his arm. Okay, I'm sorry, Emory, you're out for the season. Now they got to go back, Dan and Nate. They got to go back to the quarterback. The coaches benched in the biggest game of the season because they had no confidence in him. Now they got to go back to him after they.
That's not fair. He was injured too.
This thing is a complete disarray. This is my second best bet. I got a lot of best bets. I'm going to have a great weekend this week. I can't believe I thought I was going to have to lay 1.5. Now I checked DK DraftKings. I'm getting a half. This is like, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Cardinals, big time. Miami's done.
Okay, look at that.
Don't look a gift horse in the mouth is the analysis.
Yeah.
That's my analysis. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
Always good when our analysis revolves around cliches. But hey, you never know.
Cliches.
Tyler Van Dyke has had a rough season there. The Heisman candidate really last year, Heisman hopeful at least. Miami has not.
They got benched.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move to Rutgers traveling to Happy Valley, play Penn State. Rutgers on my book is plus 20.5, but sometimes it's hard to find a Rutgers spread because DK doesn't usually carry it since they're in New Jersey. So y'all might have something different, but that's what I have. Rutgers plus 20.5. Rutgers has looked okay at times this year, but Penn State is definitely a better team. They're coming off a tough loss against Michigan. I kind of think they're going to want to take it to Rutgers and prove that they're still an elite Big Ten school. Dan, what say you?
I think Rutgers, there's a very good chance they might end the game with the same number of points as they started it with. I mean, we've seen what Penn State's defense can do against bad offenses, and Rutgers is just not good on that side of the football. Like, Rutgers plays defense very well, but they got shut out against Iowa last time out, and I think Penn State could very well do the same. My play on this one is Rutgers team total under 11. I just cannot see Rutgers getting more than 10 points at Happy Valley.
11.
That's incredible. Dan, what do you think?
God.
I mean, Nate.
Oh, okay.
Under 11.
Man,
That's like a touchdown. What was that? Touchdown and two field goals you lose. Throw a safety in there, it's over. Go ahead.
I just feel like I'm like the one guy that's just banging the drum for bad teams. I like Rutgers.
Bad team, Nate.
I like Rutgers. I like Rutgers. This is mostly just kind of just like one of like my sort of like knee-jerk plays. This is such a low total. The total's 41.5. 20.5 just feels like a pretty damn big spread for a game that's going to be pretty low scoring anyways. I do think that, Penn State will probably win this relatively comfortably, but I don't necessarily think it'll be just like some flashy blowout. Rutgers is going to want to run the ball. That's basically all they do well. That's the best part of Penn State's defense. I don't think Rutgers is going to put up a pile of points. Likewise, I don't think that Penn State is probably going to do much other than run the ball against Rutgers because they won't need to. So, I think this is probably going to be a low-scoring game, so I lean towards Rutgers, even though I don't feel good about myself saying that out loud.
Yeah, I mean it's a hard one to take. I kind of like if you like Rutgers, you might think about a first half play where the spread is plus 10 because Rutgers may have enough juice to keep it within 10 points in that first half because they do have a pretty good defense, and I'm not sure Penn State will have a total sense of urgency until the second half. And I think that's get out of hand. But I also like Dan's team for the You might want to get cute with this one instead of just that half. But Nate likes that. Dad, what do you think?
Well, listen, after this week, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send Nate 3 boxes of Beard Vet K-Cup coffee because after this week, he's not going to have any money to buy it himself. He's going to be wiped out, broke. He's got fast food week for you, buddy, because the cash going down. I mean, first of all, why do we cover Rutgers every single week, right? That's my first question, right? Why are they in every single week's rundown? Jack's love affair with Rutgers, the school he loved but never went to because he didn't want to go to New Jersey. We've already been over that. So, all right, it's 20.5, okay? Here's why I love Penn State, and I know I'm all over the favorites here, but here's why I love Penn State. The only teams they can't beat is Ohio State and Michigan. They beat everybody else and trounced them. Coach James Franklin loves running up the score. Tell you the other thing they did, okay? Their offense last week was too conservative. They didn't throw the ball enough. It was very predictable, very boring. So he turns around Franklin and he fires his offensive coordinator, Mike, what's his name, Dan? Herkich. Anyway, fires him, right? So they bring a new offensive coordinator in. Well, that guy's trying to get a job, right? He's trying to get a job next season as offensive coordinator. So he's going to dial up some big plays here, get a little more aggressive. That's why I think Penn State runs up the score. Here's the other thing. If you looked at their defense last week, and I know Michigan ran it right up their jockstrap. I mean, it was a great strategy. Of course, they got speed, but they didn't have the meat up front like Michigan did. So they had a great game plan. Having said that, they have the speed. That defense is the fastest defense in college football I've seen. I don't think Rutgers is going to score on them. I think they roll up the score. And then you say, well, look at Rutgers' defense is pretty good. Okay, who'd they beat? Northwestern, Temple, Wagner, and I think St. Mary's College of the Headless and Blind. I mean, that's basically who they've been beating. This game is going to be a rout. Penn State, another team that's pissed off after that game last week. This thing is going to be a wipeout. I can see this game 49-7 all over the Nittany Lions.
I mean, they're 6-2-2 against the spread, Rutgers. So I don't really know.
Yeah, because
why
they
we
beat
wouldn't.
Northwestern, Temple, Wagner, and St. Mary's College.
Who cares? That's against the spread. I mean, like, that's how spreads work, Dad. So, they're 6-2-2 against the spread, and that's why we cover them every week, because if you are taking Rutgers, you're winning money, which is the whole point of the show. Okay.
Well, it's
Before
not
we
Nate's.
move on, I do want, Dad, you to talk a little bit about how you wake up so fresh as a daisy every morning with Healthy Cell REM sleep.
I tell you, man, look at how do I do this every day, Nate? Right? You roll out of bed at 5 o'clock. You got to have a Coke. You just about make it. And me, I'm fired up every day. I get up at 3:45. REM sleep, baby. Right here. Got to go to Healthy Cell. Do you have these, Nate? You need to get. I need to buy these also. I need to start claiming you off my federal income tax as a dependent, because I got to get you these REM sleep. All you got to do is go to healthycell.com, healthycell.com/Godzilla, promo code Godzilla. Dan doesn't need these because he's in Hawaii. He's on like Japanese time zone. I don't know what the hell's out there. But Nate,
3
you
a.m.
need
here.
this REM. You need this REM. I don't know what time is it out there, Dan? Like
It's
1 in the morning.
3:25 in the morning here.
My God, Dan, you're a trooper. I get 325. REM sleep. Go to healthycell.com/Godzilla. Promo code Godzilla. Get 20% off your first order. Take this 15 minutes before you go to bed, and you are going to sleep like a baby. You're going to dream like nuts. And you're going to get a good deep. And then you're like me. You wake up, you're refreshed, just like a rose, man, ready to go, because you get that good night's sleep, all 4 phases of sleep. Do it now. This is for your health. This is for your well-being. This is for your sharpness. And then you can look fresh as a daisy like me at 4 a.m. every day. REM sleep. HealthyCell.com.
REM sleep. Go to healthycell.com. Promo code Godzilla.
I'm buying this for Nate.
Dan, I'm not going to skip this game because I put it on the schedule for you because I know it was in your write-up. So we're going to talk about Louisiana Tech playing Jacksonville State here. Louisiana Tech is a 8.5-point underdog, over under 54.5. Dan, when I see these in your write-ups at Godzilla Wins, I know you have some inside knowledge that I want to know about. So tell us what you see in the Louisiana Tech Jacksonville State game.
So both of these teams, their strengths on offense match up with the other side's weakness on defense. Louisiana Tech, second best passing offense in Conference USA. Jacksonville State has Conference USA's worst pass defense. Jacksonville State, second best rushing offense in Conference USA. Louisiana Tech ranks second bottom in run defense. So I think we're going to see a lot of points here. Louisiana Tech has given up at least 27 in 5 straight games. So as long as the Bulldogs offense does anything at all, we should be able to get to this over. So 55.5 looks very much in play here.
Nate, you're a big fan of some of these games. What do you think?
I like Jacksonville State here. Like Dan said, a lot of this is just sort of matchups. Louisiana Tech cannot stop the run at all. If there's one thing that we know about Rich Rodriguez coached teams in the 70 years that he's been coaching NCAA football, it's that they're going to run the ball pretty well. This Jacksonville State team's no different. They've been running it pretty well lately, especially. So I like Jacksonville State to go out and be able to control this on the ground. Yes, the pass defense is a concern, but the defensive line is still pretty good. You know, they get a lot of sacks. They generate a lot of tackles for loss. So, you know, it's not a total wash there. So I like Jacksonville State to cover this number.
Dad, got any thoughts on the Louisiana Tech
None.
Jacksonville State
None.
matchup?
But I do have a thought on this, Nate. So I just got in my email, but I have absolutely no pick on that game. So I'll go with you guys. But I just got in my inbox 4 tickets, Pittsburgh Steelers, 50-yard line, first row up, 8 rows up, 50-yard line, Steelers, Arizona, December 3rd. Just got my inbox. Came right here because the Steelers love me because they carry their games in Nashville. So I'm their hero. So I get 4 tickets. So December 3rd, you guys, it's just a plane ticket away, Nate. Your 50-yard line seat, Steelers, Cardinals. Could be a great game. Just saying.
Steelers,
I have no
Cardinals.
pick on the Louisiana State game.
Steelers, Cardinals, baby. They fly halfway across the country to watch Steelers.
But then you have to sit outdoors in December and watch Arizona try to resemble an offense.
That's why I got the free tickets at the 50-yard line.
I said that'd be the bigger
that's why the
reason.
tickets came through.
Like,
Yeah,
John,
yeah.
John, are you sure it's that they like you and not that they're annoyed with you?
Yeah, it's almost
Like,
like an
like that
insult.
seems like the old joke in Kansas City in the '80s when the Chiefs sucked. I left my car unlocked with 4 tickets on the dashboard. I came back and there were 8 tickets.
That's about right. That's about right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, let's talk when you get a divisional game there, maybe a little Steelers Ravens or something like that. Okay, let's go to a team or game where both teams are ranked. Utah traveling down to Arizona. Arizona is the 17th ranked team in the country after their fast ascension after Dan called their upset against Oregon State. They've been on a tear since then. Utah, we loved Utah at the beginning of the season, and they always seem to hang around, but they're not exactly cover machines. Dan, you still on the Arizona train here? Arizona is, I believe, -1 over under 46.5.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona seems to be the anti-Miami. Like, people just do not realize that this team is legitimately good. I mean, each week, Arizona comes out with a really strong performance, and they just can't convince anyone because their games are played so late, and the Pac-12 gets no media coverage, which is why the conference is breaking up after this year. But yeah, I think Arizona can absolutely cover this number. I think that the Wildcats have really made so many strides on the past 2 seasons, and Utah still doesn't have that great of an offense. They did enough last week to cover against Washington, but I think Arizona will take care of business here.
Yeah, Nate, I think Dan's analysis is right on point there. Nobody watches these games late at night unless you're on the West Coast. Everybody seems to underestimate Arizona. I think you got a lot of people who maybe sound like my dad sometimes, who will just be like, oh, well, Arizona stinks. There's no reason they should be 17th, and they're going to lose. So I'm taking the +1 gift. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth or whatever. I think maybe that's what's happening a little bit. Arizona is a good team, and they've been the underdog and they've been winning. They're 6-2-2. No, they're 6-2 against the spread, something like that. They're 8-2 against the spread. So 7-3 overall. What do you think?
I think that everything screams take Arizona in this game. For a lot of the reasons that Dan said, Utah hasn't looked awesome on defense when they've played really good offenses. They've had trouble slowing people down. Their offense continues to get worse and worse. But this is still the Pac-12. Arizona's still sort of live for a chance to play in the Pac-12 championship game. Utah is not. Utah needed a lot of things to happen. Those didn't happen. Arizona still has a chance if some things break their way. I think this is probably another instance of the Pac-12 cannibalizing itself. This just feels inevitable that Arizona loses and the Pac-12 just starts to just disintegrate again. This just happens all the time. So I'm just betting on Utah. I'm looking at the numbers and everything says Arizona, and I think that Utah's probably the play just because this is the Pac-12.
Nate's
I'm with Nate here. Nate, and I love that cliche, right? Winning is losing, losing is winning. Bet the opposite, right? Opposite land. Bet against all the analysis out there. That's exactly why I love Utah in this game. Here's the thing: all this team does is win games. They're very competitive. I bet against them last week. Sorry, I did that. Dan told me not to. He sat here right here from Hawaii at 2 a.m. and told me they were going to cover. So you had that right, Dan. So ye of little faith I had. So, and Washington did end up winning the game, but Utah was right there. You got to say Washington could be, right? Could be the best team in the nation. And Utah on the road could have won that game. And you were never going to cover it, right? That's the other thing. So now all this hype about Arizona this and Arizona that, I agree with you, Nate, 100%. The whole Pac-12 is disintegrating. This is just another crazy game. And Utah, not to be underestimated, they had that tough loss last week. I think they come back today, won the game. Couple the fact they've won 6 straight over Arizona. So got to go 7 back for Arizona to win. That was 2016. That's when Trump won. That's how far back it was. So you got to go back a long time to figure this out. But I like Utah here on the road, winning the game handily.
I really like Arizona. I think that they'll be fine in this game and win pretty easily. So before we move on to some of the other big games this week, I do want to talk about why I wake up so fresh as a daisy. As much as I love REM sleep, but I also need a little help from Beard Vet Coffee. Some of the best coffee you can get on the market. Here's what you got to do if you're in the need for some coffee at a great low price. Go to beardvet.com. That's beardvet.com. Put in the promo code Godzilla. That'll get you 10% off all your coffee and beard needs. They got everything you could ever hope for. They got K-Cups if you like Keurig like my dad. They got whole bean if you like to grind them up like I do. They got the espresso grind or just the regular grind. All sorts of stuff there. Different flavors. Some people like the flavored coffee. They got that as well. Some interesting and excellent flavors from Beard Vet Coffee. And if you have a beard, you know you need to keep it up just like I do. And the best way to do that is with those beard tinctures and oils. You can get those as well at beardvet.com. So go to beardvet.com. That's beardvet.com. Put in the promo code Godzilla, just like GodzillaWins.com. Promo code Godzilla, 10% off. Your order will come fast and it'll be easy, and you will never have regretted that decision ever again. You'll be hooked on Beard Vet Coffee. You'll never go anywhere else. No one on this radio show would disagree with that. We all love Beard Vet Coffee. So go to beardvet.com, promo code Godzilla, 10% off. All right, here's another weird one I got for you. UNLV and Air Force. Why'd I put this on the schedule? I don't know. Yeah, maybe to annoy you. I mean, I think it's because Air Force is good, I guess, or they're winning a lot. And so I was like, well, why don't we just talk about them? So here we go, Dan. UNLV +3, 3-point underdog there, traveling to playing on the road, over 46.5. What do you think?
Yeah, I saw this game on the schedule. I'm like, I wonder if Jack's mad at me. Because, like, Air Force, I mean, the last 2 weeks, they should have, they came in undefeated, favored against Army. Army blew them out of the water, 23-3. And then last week, I actually was watching that game. I was in the stadium for Air Force Hawaii. Air Force comes in undefeated in the Mountain West. Hawaii had just been getting destroyed by teams left and right, and Hawaii completely shuts down Air Force's run game. Air Force has to go to the pass. That works out just beautifully with 3 interceptions. So it was one of the worst performances I've seen all season, and I just don't know what to think about this Air Force team. So I'm going to have to go with UNLV for no other reason than Air Force appears to be disintegrating. I mean, Hawaii had a good game plan last week by pretty much going the complete opposite of what their personality has been all year and slowing the game down, which completely threw Air Force out of whack. But I just don't trust this Air Force team at all, so I've got to go with UNLV here.
Dan, I'm curious, and this kind of occurred to me, and I one of the reasons I put this in the schedule was I knew you were at that Hawaii Air Force game, so I figured you'd have a little bit of a insight for us. But look, I've never been to a Hawaii football game. I know you've been to a ton of college football games. What's the atmosphere like in Hawaii? Like, what are those games like?
It's pretty interesting. The entrance is really cool, and they bring out the Polynesians and light the torches and have the teams run through that. The atmosphere tends to vary a bit based on who the opponent is. The atmosphere was really good the first game against Stanford. It wasn't that great against San Diego State, but it really is kind of an experience, and it seems to rain every single game, weirdly enough. Like, I think there's been one game all season where I haven't spent at least 10 minutes sitting in the rain, which actually isn't that bad in Hawaii because it's 80 degrees all the time, so it actually feels kind of nice.
When we talked about Hawaii UNR, I placed a wager up there in Tunica on that game.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, no, I think I faded you. I think I would make that game. But it was so frustrating because the game was on some streaming service that I didn't have, and I was so furious. I was like, there's got to be one way I can watch this game, but it wasn't. So I was like, well,
no, it's virtually impossible to watch out here unless you have like all their games are on Spectrum Sports this year, which is
that's
just
what it was.
Yeah, which Spectrum is apparently pretty big on the islands, but unless you have it, it's really hard to watch.
If there's a night game there, what time is that on the East?
So that's the reason. That's the reason that they schedule it that way. So every game is played at either 5 or 6 p.m. here. So it's a midnight kickoff on the East. They squeeze it in on Saturday by Eastern time, but every game here is played at either 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. Hawaii time.
So basically, if you got wiped out in college football all
That is
day,
the
like you
idea.
started at 12 o'clock and you just
Yeah.
you had a
That is
wipe
the
out
idea.
day. You lost
Yeah.
everything, right? And then
Yeah.
you bet the night games, you lose those. And then you
Then you
bet
got Hawaii.
the 10 o'clock game, you're losing that. And your last shot is Hawaii.
Hawaii.
At midnight.
Yeah.
You got one more shot next week.
You got one more
with
shot.
Hawaii against Colorado State,
There you
which
go.
I will be at that game as well.
Nate, very quickly, UNLV Air Force. Anything you see there?
I like the under. We talk about sort of service academy unders, like when service academies play each other. UNLV is not that dissimilar to a service academy in their style of play. They run the ball a ton. Obviously, Air Force is like the quintessential service academy. They throw the ball about 12% of their plays.
There's a reason for it.
And they play at the slowest tempo in college football, like 32.2 seconds per play. So I think this is probably just going to be kind of a slow, ugly game. Air Force has sometimes, at least early in the season, like a competent looking defense to be able to slow down UNLV, but I like the under here. I just think the clock should be running continuously.
Yeah, Dad, any thoughts on that? I mean, the pace of play probably does.
The
scream under.
continuous Pop Warner football clock, or after they're up, teams up by 5 touchdowns in the second half that they do, and I even think they do that in high school now. But look, Rebs, I love the Rebs here getting 3. Why? Because any team that gets trounced by Hawaii, like I can't bet them. No offense, Dan. But I like the Rebs here. There's some road.
None taken. I've faded Hawaii most of the year.
The final 2 weeks they haven't scored, and Rebs are 8-2, 5-1 in the Mountain West. This is a big game for them. They're playing better, so I'm gonna take the 3 with the Rebs at home. Hey Jack, by the way, before we move on, are you in a position to tell our audience about the new feature we've got on Godzilla Wins, or is that not out yet?
No, it's not available yet. So we'll wait off until that.
We can tease it because it's going to be very exciting. We got a new feature coming on Godzilla Wins. It's Jack's brainchild, Jack and Nate, and they shared it with me the other day. It's very exciting. So kind of put a little teaser out.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess. Do you want me to go into it, or you just want to leave it at that?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I mean, Dan, you'll be interested in this too. So, one of the things that we've been working on all semester, or basically all football season, with our IT guy is a system in which the staff can pick the games, all like any game really, NFL, college football, basketball, NBA, baseball, whatever. So you can go in and you can load your picks into the system, and then the readers will be able to there'll be a page where the readers can go and it'll say Dan's picks, and they can see all of your picks listed out for the day. And it'll keep your record for every individual sport. So
nice.
It's a good way to keep track of that as well. And if you just, I mean, a lot of people who do it seriously, they have a spreadsheet or they use some other different way. But for our fans or our readers, it's good for them to be able to say, oh, okay, well, let me see. Dan wrote about these 5 games, but what are his other just picks for today?
Sure.
Or, Nate hasn't really
Pittsburgh over Jacksonville worked out well for me yesterday.
Right, exactly. So, things like that where you may not have the opportunity to write the game, but you can still pick it and everybody can go and see it. It's a pretty cool little tool that we've been working on for a long time.
It's also going to track it. It's also going to track your picks.
Right, yeah. Right, yeah. So and it'll track your return on investment as well, because you can do it based on units. So, you've got your units and it's got the juice in there as well. So it'll
great feature.
Yeah, we've been working on it for a long time. We're excited to trot it out here pretty soon.
Brilliant. You guys are brilliant.
Should be a lot of fun. So
I'm so happy I'm a part of your team. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we're so happy to have you. Let's run through a couple more games here pretty quickly. I do want to leave time for our saucy game of the week, but I don't want to cut out the Florida-Missouri game. Been throwing Missouri on our run sheet every week just to make Dan mad. And because look, I mean they're ninth in.
I thought Air Force was to make me mad.
Yeah, Yeah, no, it's Missouri. But I mean, the thing with Missouri too is after the Ole Miss blowout loss to Georgia, which I predicted, by the way, I think Mizzou looks a little better in the eyes of everyone else. They're still a top 10 team. That game they played at Georgia was really good. They beat Tennessee, I think, last week. So they're an interesting team. They're pretty good this year. Florida's an 11.5-point dog. They got to travel to Missouri, to Columbia up there. Over is 57. Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't see this working out well for Florida. I mean, the Gators, they really need a miracle to make it to a bowl game at this point because they've got to beat either Missouri or Florida State, which is probably not going to happen. I mean, you look at what this Florida team has done away from Gainesville, losing Salt Lake City, losing Lexington, barely escape Columbia, South Carolina with a victory, and South Carolina's 4-6, and losing Baton Rouge. So it's probably not going to go much better. Like most of those losses haven't been particularly close. Like their 3 defeats away from home have all been by at least 13 points. So I really don't see Missouri screwing this up. I mean, it would be a very Missouri-like thing to do for them to screw it up, but I don't think that happens. I think Missouri does cover.
Nate, does Missouri cover here?
I don't think so. I like Florida here. Just because this is kind of just a like again, this is just sort of like a weird scheduling spot. Missouri's just played really 2 tough games against really good opponents. I think that at some point they're going to be a little flat, and I think this is probably the moment that they do against Florida. So I like Florida here.
Dad, you like the dog?
No, I gotta go Mizzou, baby. I mean, look, they played Georgia tough. I bet Ole Miss last week. You know what? You told me not to do it. Y'all told me not to do it. Like schmuck bet of the week, right? Because I don't know. And then when it was 7-0, I was like, okay, well, we're 7-7 or something. But then they got blown out, and Ole Miss didn't even belong on the field with them. I mean, that game was a joke. Mizzou hung with them. This is a pretty good football team you got here, Dan. This year, alma mater. I mean, they score, they play good defense, and I'm kind of with what you said earlier. What is Florida playing for now? Right? They're not even going to make a bowl game. It's been just a horrible season. They had a couple wins, but to me, this is a statement game for the Tigers. Are you going to be for real? Are you a factor in the SEC? This is a game at home. You should win. You're a 10-point favorite, 9.5. You get beat in a game like this, or you struggle to win by 3. That's kind of the same old Tigers. So I think this is a big game for them. I'm going to take Mizzou minus the 9.5.
Yeah, I just really like the coach. What's it, Drinkwitz? I think is
Drinkwitz. Yeah, he's done really well.
Yeah, I mean, I just think he's always got his team ready. I actually don't think that Nate's right here that it's kind of a letdown game for them. I feel like Drinkwitz always has them just really focused on the week ahead. I think he's done a really nice job there. I think they probably blow out Florida, who stinks.
And Missouri, I think to John's point, Missouri does need to make a statement here because if the Tigers win this and the finale at Arkansas, because they're obviously not going to the SEC championship game with Georgia locking up the East.
Right.
But if they can make a statement these last 2 games, they're probably getting a New Year's Six bowl. So I think they've got a lot to play for here.
Yeah, Peach Bowl, Cotton Bowl. I think that's within their sights, or possibly the Sugar Bowl.
Sugar, most likely.
Yeah, and I mean, look,
which would be huge for Missouri.
It would, and I mean, I've watched so much Missouri football this year that I might even drive down there and go watch them in person. It'd be kind of fun game to watch with nothing.
How far is that from you?
New Orleans is like 5 hours. So that could be kind of fun. Let's move on to Kansas State, Kansas. Little Plains football here. We've only got 10 minutes, and we got to get to the saucy game of the week. So I want to go pretty quickly through these next 2 games. But I didn't want to leave this out because I think this is just kind of a really interesting matchup. In-state rivalry.
I wrote about it.
Yeah, and you wrote about it. That's right. Kansas State minus 10, over under 57.5. Dan, what say you?
If Kansas had a healthy quarterback, I might lean toward the Jayhawks here because what Lance Leopold has done in Lawrence is fantastic. But I think this is going to be same old in this rivalry. The Sunflower Showdown has basically been, to steal a line from my predecessor at the Idaho State Journal, who's now at the Wichita Eagle, Kellis Robinette. It's been the Sunflower beatdown. I mean, Kansas State has gone 24-4 against Kansas in the Big 12 era, and if you take out the 3 Ron Prince games, it's 24-1 for the Wildcats. So I don't think this is going to go any better for Kansas because they're just not healthy right now. So I think Kansas State does cover the 8.
Nate.
I kind of like the over. I just think that Kansas State's just going to do whatever they want to Kansas's defense. I don't think they're going to be able to stop the Wildcats at all. So I like the Wildcats. I also like the over. I mean, Kansas State just picks a score here.
Dad, 30 seconds.
Well, this is an emotional game for Kansas because obviously there's a rivalry. They've not done well. This is the last game I think they're playing at that Memorial Stadium in Lawrence before they get a new football stadium. So there's going to be some emotion there. But look, Kansas State comes into this thing in a 4-way tie to get to the Big 12 title game. And I think they'd like to make that because, of course, in the Big 12, Texas, Oklahoma going away, going to the SEC. But they're just going to run the football. I mean, they're just going to run the football. And I can't see Kansas stopping them. You know, they've got maybe the best running back in the nation. And they're gonna just run the football down Kansas's throat. I'm going to lay the 10 because this is just it's a matter of two teams. One is dramatically better than the other one. And if this game was in at Kansas State, this spread would be 16 or 15 and a half. I'm going to go with Kansas State here to win and have a shot at the Big 12 title game.
UGA, Tennessee coming up next. UGA is a 10-point favorite here, traveling to Knoxville, over under 58.5. UGA is basically through their toughest part of their schedule, at least in November. The gauntlet of Missouri, Ole Miss, and Tennessee. 3 teams who are pretty good. Dan, can Tennessee cover the spread or maybe upset Georgia, or is Georgia basically just on cruise control into the SEC championship?
I mean, based on what we saw last week from Tennessee and Columbia, it doesn't look likely. Granted, Tennessee is a much different team in Knoxville, but Georgia just looks to be head and shoulders above the SEC East again. So I'm not going to pick against Kirby Smart here. I'm taking the Dogs.
Nate, Dogs minus 10.
I like the under. I think the Dogs get the win, but I don't think they just just go crazy running up the score here. And I'm not sure that Tennessee can score that much against the Bulldogs. So I like the under 58.5.
Dad.
Come on, man. It's not fair. There's something. It's not fair. That's all I can say, right? Now, you guys that are like left-wing, progressive, Marxist types, it's not fair. Georgia is just so much better than everybody. You should be promoting some kind of a rule where they have a recruiting restriction. Look at that game last week. I really thought Ole Miss they're a good team. I mean, they got trounced. They were never in the game. Defense, speed, size, tight ends, running game, you name it. And when they got to dial it up, it's over. Tennessee's going to get blown out. I don't see anybody beating the Dogs. I bet Washington to win the thing. Then after last week, I went to DraftKings and took 80% of my bet back because, there's nobody going to beat this team. I actually think whatever I bet a couple hundred on them at 10-1 or 13, whatever it was, I just got 80% of my bet back, gave DraftKings the 20% I won out. Nobody's going to beat this team. What I saw last week, that was a beatdown. When Ole Miss came in there, they're like, hey, we're going to make this a game. We're crushed. So Georgia minus 10. Somebody's got to beat them. Maybe at the end there's a garbage touchdown and, the game ends up 9. They're up by 16. Somebody scores. Other than that, there's zero chance at Tennessee winning. So I'm going with the Dogs.
Yeah, that's overreaction, John. There, I still think, and we'll get to Washington. I think Washington's pretty good. I mean, look, you have this idea that Ole Miss is this unbeatable monstrosity every time they win a couple games. I told you that was going to happen last week. Lane Kiffin doesn't win big games. It's not the biggest statement in the world. It was on the road. It was at night. I mean, it's just not a game that that Ole Miss was ever going to win. And then they laid down, but we're not going to get into it because no, we're not going to get into it. We got 5 minutes. We got to get to our advertisers, so we're not going to get into Ole Miss. Also, just to clear it up, Dan, the left wing comment that's toward me. No one's commenting on Nate or your politics. That he lumps everyone who is in my age group as a progressive left wing Marxist. That's just personally me.
Fair enough.
So he's
I'm not touching it.
yeah.
We have Washington and Oregon State to discuss.
Yeah, let's do that. So, Dad, saucy game of the week here. Red State Barbecue, Washington traveling to Oregon State. Huge Pac-12 game. Washington is plus 1.5. Maybe I wrote that down wrong.
No, you didn't.
2.5. Yeah, so we're going to really talk about that.
I had it as Oregon State minus 2.5.
Okay, so the line kind of all over the place here. But, Dad, before we do that, very quickly, tell us how people can get some Red State barbecue sauce.
Saucy game of the week, baby. Got to get your Red State Barbecue, one of our sponsors. Now, here's my two favorites. There's 7 of them, right? I love Kentucky Small Batch, and I love Memphis Sweet. You're seeing them right here on Getter Live, Rumble Live, Twitter Live, wherever we are. Now, but there's a lot of others. I also like the apple bourbon. So we made chicken on the grill 2 nights ago, right? We made a bunch of chicken. Guess what? Half of it I do with Kentucky Batch. Half of it I do with Memphis Sweet. I can never decide which. I'm even going to be putting it on my turkey on Thanksgiving. I love my barbecue sauce. RedStateBBQ.com. You're going to love this, guys. This is the best barbecue sauce you've ever had. They've got 7 different flavors. They got Texas spicy if you like that. They got the North Carolina thing with the vinegar that I don't want anything to do with. But you might like that. I don't know. Just go to RedStateBBQ.com. RedStateBBQ.com. Promo code Godzilla10. You're going to get 10% off. Do me a favor. Get some of these for the holidays. You're going to love it. Plus, you support our show because they're a great sponsor of ours. They love Godzilla Wins. They love our audience. RedStateBBQ.com. Promo code Godzilla10. Get 10% off. You're going to love this stuff.
That might be the first Thanksgiving turkey that anyone actually wants to eat.
Yeah, maybe.
I know. Well, I make the best turkey. Jack knows I make the best turkey. What do you?
Yeah, but
25 pounds.
I mean, nobody really wants turkey on Thanksgiving. People just tolerate it usually.
Lobster. I want lobster and sirloin. That's what
we made crab legs.
Yeah, you've been talking surf and turf all week.
Yeah, lobster. I think we should be eating lobster for Thanksgiving. Anyway,
we did crab legs.
By the way,
and it was magical.
Just to be clear, it's RedStateBBQ.com.
Right.
RedStateBBQ.com.
That's right. Dan, Washington at Oregon State. What do you see?
I mean, Reser Stadium is where Pac-12 dreams go to die, basically. Jonathan Smith, since the fans came back, 17-1, both straight up and against the spread in Corvallis. So, I mean, I said last week something looked wrong with Washington. They did manage to win against Utah, but I got the cover correct, and I just cannot go against Oregon State in this matchup. I mean, the Beavers have been dominant at home for so long, and I think this is the game where Washington stumbles.
Nate.
I agree with everything Dan said. I think that this is probably, if there is a spot where Washington stumbles, it's going to be here. Oregon State's going to run the ball, pretty effectively against Washington. Oregon State's not like the greatest passing defense of all time, but like they're good enough at sort of slowing down explosive plays. They should be okay. And that hilarious 17-1 against the spread in Corvallis in the last 3 seasons is just like silly. Oregon State.
Dad.
I'm going with Washington. Okay. I think they might be second to Michigan, right? They might be the second best team in the country. So I think they could beat Michigan. This team we don't know how good they are. I mean, look, I didn't like the game last week against Utah. I didn't like the play code. There's a lot of things I didn't like, but they did get the W. They did win the game. We don't know how good they are. Georgia is the number 1 team, no question. But Washington, I think, could be the second best team in the nation. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Washington, Georgia, if they can make their way into the final, depending on what the matchup is there, who plays the quarterfinals. But I think they're the second best team. So I'm going to go here with Washington. Somebody has to beat this team.
Yeah, I was all over Washington. Then Dan, I took a second look at them, watched them last week, did not love what I saw. Looks like they're struggling. I think this is upset.
I think they're the second best team in the Pac-12.
Yeah, I think we're on upset alert here. I think Washington probably falls this week. I'm going Oregon State. That's why they are favored, and Washington's the 5th team in the country there. We want to thank Dan Angel, as always, for joining us on the Godzilla Wins Pick Show. You can find him on X, formerly Twitter, at DanAngel11, and on Instagram at Dan.Angel11, and all of his writing at GodzillaWins.com. GodzillaWins.com does a great job for us, and soon to be able to log his picks, and we can track his wins and loss. Should be a lot of fun.
Gonna be tracking your picks.
Because here's the thing with Dan.
Tracking your picks, Dano.
Yep, and Dan can really go on a heater there. So when he's hot, he can get real hot.
When Dan's hot, ride him, baby.
Yeah. So Dan, thank you so much for joining us. Coming up in FL coverage, James Tillman III, our Bears writer, Mitch Rogers coming in for some Steelers talk. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back in exactly 1 minute.
You're listening to Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network. For a deeper dive without the jive, visit the website of winners, GodzillaWins.com. Let's get back to the show with the guys in the know, John, Jack, and Nate. It's Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network.
All right, welcome back to the Godzilla Wins Pick Show. We are here to talk some NFL coverage. We want to welcome in James Tillman III, one of our senior writers at GodzillaWins.com. Does such a great job for us with his Bears coverage and picks, as well as the NBA, which he's always locked into. Love reading James's NBA stuff. Glad the season is among us so he can get started and lock into some of that NBA coverage. I know he's already been uploading some of those picks on GodzillaWins.com. So thank you, James, for that, and thanks for being with us. How you doing?
All right, how about yourself? Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm good. We're pretty excited to talk some NFL here. I'm really excited to actually talk about the Bears this weekend because I think maybe they got a shot here at least covering maybe a spread, but we'll see. We'll see. I think that's going to be a big game. Before we get into the games, though, with Christmas right around the corner, the holidays right around the corner, there is no better way to show your loved ones how much you care than with a MyPillow product from MyPillow.com. You can go to MyPillow.com and you can find all your best stocking stuffers, so long as your stocking is gigantic and can fit a pillow or a robe. It's some of the greatest just pillow technology, we'll say, in the history of pillows. So you can go to mypillow.com. That's mypillow.com. Use promo code FUN, F-U-N. So different promo code there, not Godzilla, but FUN, F-U-N. That promo code FUN gets you up to 80% off on all sorts of items: pillows, hand towels, slippers, robes. These are really good gifts. I get them all the time and give them out as gifts because they're pretty thoughtful. They're comfortable. MyPillow does such a great job with some of the towels and some of the other stuff. The robes, the slippers are really incredible. So, and that promo code it's one of the best promo codes we have because you can get up to 80% off on all of your pillow needs. So go to mypillow.com, promo code FUN. Holidays coming up. Order some pillows for your loved ones. Okay.
I tell you what, Jack, you probably don't know this, but when you come here Tuesday, you are like MyPillow outfitted. Mama's got you. MyPillow mattress topper, MyPillow 2.0, MyPillow comforter, MyPillow towels in the bathroom, MyPillow slippers. We got you. Oh, I shouldn't say that. That's for Christmas. We got you. So you're going to be MyPillowed, comforted out for 3. You're never going to want to leave. That's her plan. Come, you're going to want to say, hey, let me stay an extra couple of days because this MyPillow stuff is so comfy. I got to stay. That's the plan. You're going to be comforted out with MyPillow, promo code FUN.
Yeah, well, I'm very excited for the whole thing there. I'm sure I'll never want to leave. Okay, let's move
25-pound turkey I'm making. That thing is huge, man.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna put it in the oven. I wouldn't say you make it, but you do turn on the oven. Okay, let's move on to let's move on to the NFL here. Cowboys at Panthers. We're starting with the Cowboys. Traveling to Carolina. Cowboys minus 10.5. Over under 42.5. Panthers stink, but I don't know. 10.5 is a big spread. We got a couple big spreads. This is a weird week, James. The last couple weeks have been really sharp. +3, plus or minus 3, 1, 2. This week, a lot of bigger spreads. Bad teams playing good teams. Do you see anything you like in the Cowboys-Panthers game, James?
Well, yeah, like you said, I mean, we know everybody knows how bad Carolina is. 30th in total offense, ranked 29th in points per game. Dallas is 6-3 against the spread in their last 9, and they're 5-1 in their last 6 games against NFC South teams. That being said, I'm usually not a fan of huge spreads like this one, but I think the Cowboys are going to cover here.
Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys are just so strong when they play bad teams, right? I mean, except when they played Arizona, I guess. But otherwise, they seem like they just kind of steamroll people. So, yeah. John, what do you like in this game?
Come on, man. We can't bet Carolina. I mean, Dallas, look at the look, the game against Philadelphia is a tough game, right? No question about it. In Philadelphia, they could have won that game at the end. Questionable offensive call. I don't know. Very tough game. Eagles end up winning, covering. Then they go out, blow out the Giants. This is going to be another blowout. And so Dallas got a very easy schedule the next several games. Then they're pointing to the big game at home against the Eagles. They still got an outside shot to win the division. But, I mean, they beat up on bad teams, right? You've seen that. It's not one of these teams that, they go play a good team and then they have this letdown. I think they learned the lesson with Arizona. They learned their lesson. They can't let that happen again. So is Carolina going to win this game? No. Dallas 16. Look, I protest last week. I wouldn't place the 7. I think it went up to 17.5 or 18. Just a protest bet. But now 6-16, I'm all in. So I like Cowboys. Lay it 19, 20, whatever it is. It doesn't matter.
It's only 10.5, so you're getting a bargain, John.
Yeah. Right. You play it up to 19. Play it up to 19.
I mean, it doesn't matter. Once I make the pick, the lines go up immediately. So
Yeah, that's right. You're shaping the line. That's
moving the line 9 points on his analysis.
9 points.
16, 15, 12. It doesn't matter. This game is a blowout, and Dallas is going. This could be the Super Bowl team that you saw the past couple of weeks here. So we'll see what happens. If Dak stays hot.
The Giants game, it's still a good bet. Like 8-1. Who cares if they get blown out? Like, it just on principle, that's a good bet.
I agree.
In this matchup, though, you gotta like the Cowboys, even at 10.5, and that's a big spread for me to lay. But you just never know. Let's move on. I'm actually gonna move the run sheet around a little bit because I want to save the Steelers Browns for Mitch since he's our Steelers writer. So let's go to Bears at Lions. We'll talk a little bit about the Chicago Bears, who are well rested after a big win on Thursday night. They're 2-0 on Thursday night this week. If they played in the MAC, they'd be undefeated playing all those weekday games here. Bears plus 7.5 traveling to Detroit. Big NFC North game. Over under 48. James, we'll start with you, our Bears writer. Do the Bears have a little bit of hope here? Is there a light at the end of the tunnel?
Well, I'll start with the few good things first. We know Justin Fields is returning back to action, and actually a couple of sport books I came across initially had the Lions as double-digit favorites, and then I guess with Fields and Khalil Herbert coming back, it moved down to like 7.5. So. But no, I'm going with the Lions here. There was no shortage of negative ATS information about the Bears. But the one thing that did stick out was that the last 8 times that the Bears were underdogs following a win, they failed to cover the spread like all 8 times. So, and then the Lions, they've covered the spread in each of their last 11 games versus NFC teams. So that said, I'm going to go with the Lions to win and to cover the 7.5.
Nate, James got the trends on lockdown there. That trend where they fail to cover the spread after a win just goes to show you how much overreaction there is in NFL betting, where it's like, oh, Chicago figured it out, and then the line gets played down and they get, their butt kicked. What do you think?
I think that my gut is just to take the Bears plus 7.5. I mean, the Bears are terrible. I mean, Justin Fields is back, so that's fine. Just because 7.5 is kind of a key number in a divisional game, like we were talking about. The way that I played it myself was just doing the teaser, which John hates, and we'll talk about it. I teased Detroit down. I mean, 7.5 is too many to lay, but 1.5 is fine. I teased it with Minnesota, so I have Vikings plus 8.5, Lions minus 1.5 on the teaser. Those make sense to me. I like Detroit minus 1.5. I don't love laying over a touchdown with them.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity to tease some of these games with all these key numbers this week. I mean, not every game is a key number, but you do have a lot of spread to play with. Dad, we know you hate teasers. You don't have to get into why. It's because you don't understand them. We get that. Go ahead and tell us why you like
I don't
the
even know
Bears.
how to bet them. What does he got to hit a bunch of buttons on DraftKings?
No, you just hit the teaser button.
Yeah, you just hit the
They have
teaser
a
button.
teaser button.
Yeah, it says teaser, and you hit it.
So if you bet
and
two
then-
games, what do you get? Plus 6? Is that the way it works?
You get 6 points.
Yeah.
So if you bet the teaser on Thanksgiving, you'd have Lions minus 1.5 and Dallas minus 3.5, right?
As the stand spreads now.
I'm not doing that. It's a stupid. That's a sucker bet. Forget that. Okay, you guys talking trends? I'll give you a trend. You want trend? Okay. Nate, you want trend?
I'd love a trend.
Let me give you this trend. It's a 47-year trend. I have bet the Lions on Thanksgiving Day
Well,
for
this isn't
47
Thanksgiving, John.
consecutive years.
This isn't
Doesn't
Thanksgiving.
matter who they're playing. Doesn't matter what the spread is.
What are you talking
No,
about?
just hang
We're
on.
talking about Sunday. This isn't Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's Sunday. Okay,
talking
well,
about
I'm betting
tomorrow.
the Lions on Thanksgiving. Look, Lions on Thanksgiving. Sunday. What? That's right, Sunday. That's Sunday and then the Lions. Okay. Well, when the Lions play on Thanksgiving, I bet them for.
Oh my God!
47
Can you
straight seasons.
talk about this game?
Yes, I like the Lions minus 7.5.
Okay, thanks. That was just an incredible look into your own mind and psyche there. I don't think
It's like
I
a
ever
fever
want to.
dream.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't want
already
to
on
ever go
Thanksgiving.
back there. That was like a James Joyce novel. Let's just move on from whatever that was and talk about the Chargers at the Packers. This game takes place on Sunday, as do all the games we're talking about, because we are not at Thanksgiving yet. So Chargers traveling to Green Bay. Green Bay kind of stinks. Chargers might stink too. Chargers -3. Nate, we'll start with you here. Over 44. What do you see?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, the Packers are like my least favorite team. I thought the Packers were going to be good at the beginning of the season. I thought they were going to be okay. I thought Jordan Love was going to be fine. And they stink. They are like my least favorite team to watch and bet on just because they're just so frustrating. I feel the same about the Chargers. The Chargers never do the thing that you want them to do, it seems like, at least when I bet on them. Both these teams are wildly unpredictable. I have no real interest in betting on this. I guess if I gun to my head pick, I guess maybe the Packers, but I'm pretty much swore betting off the Packers. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I hate betting the Packers right now. They stink. What do you think, Dan? Or James, sorry.
Yeah, I'm kind of conflicted here too. I mean, on one hand, you got the Chargers narrowly losing to the Lions by a field goal last week. But, while they've been averaging close to 32 points per contest in their past 3 games, they're also ranked near the bottom of the league in several defensive metrics. But then on the other hand, from Green Bay side, I came across a stat that said they have produced just 2 touchdowns in their last 9 trips to the red zone over the last 2 games. So, like I said, kind of conflicting trends here. But I am going to go with the Chargers only because I believe they're a little bit better than the Packers.
Dad.
Bolts. You can't bet the Packers. I mean, San Diego's like hanging by a thread for their life, right? Or LA. I'm sorry. Old school. I like the Bolts here. Eventually, they got to put together a big win, go on the road and beat somebody, right? So I'm gonna go with the Chargers here. Bear's gonna have a big game. Jordan Love, I don't know. I mean, one game good, one game horrible. I mean, the Packers are just not a very good football team right now. They're kind of in the same place the Titans are. Do you rebuild? What do you do, right? and so not a good team. LA's gotta win this game, or their season's on the brink. So I'm gonna go with the Bolts -3.
Let's move on to the Cardinals at Texans, going to the AFC South here. Nate, I'm definitely starting with you because you love the Texans. They are a good football team. They don't always cover the spread, but +6 against the Cardinals, I feel like maybe they can make this one work, but we'll see. Over under 48. Do you like the Texans with the big cover here?
I mean, I love the Texans, right? I've been banging the drum for the Texans since basically the beginning of the season. This was exactly what I was hoping would happen. But the Texans are doing that thing where they just win close games right at the end, right? They're scoring a bazillion points. They looked awesome last week when they just, tore up the Bengals defense. That being said, this number's now moved. It opened like around 4.5, and now it's moved up to Texans -6. I'm uncomfortable laying 6 points with a team that seems to sort of do its best work during the 2-minute drill at the end of a game. So, especially with Kyler Murray back for Arizona. So I like Arizona here +6 just because it's a key number, and Texans just don't seem to be just blowing anyone away.
Yeah, James, I kind of agree with Nate here. I don't know how you feel, but I looked at this spread early in the week and thought, I don't know, Cardinals +6. That's a lot of points to lay on a Houston team that just seems to be winning by 1 or 2 every week. What do you think?
I like Houston here, but I'm not sure about the 6 spread, but so I'm betting on them probably maybe like a field goal or so. But that's my short take on this particular matchup.
Dad, you hate the Texans, but
Yeah.
you also hate Arizona, so this is a tough one for you.
No, it's not. Talk is cheap. Play the game. Simple. Kyler Murray's back. How many games can Texas win in the final 2 seconds? This defies logic, right? So this magic for C.J. Stroud runs out. Cardinals got Tyler Murray back. They played a good game last week with him, and they go on the road here. I mean, the Texans just shouldn't be 6 over anybody. I wouldn't lay 6 over Carolina. I wouldn't lay 6 over the Giants on this team. They just don't cover spreads. So this is an upset special. I think Arizona goes in there, wins the whole game. You can't play that. If you think about what the Texans have done, they have played 2 drag out, run down, emotional football games where every ounce of your energy is drained out of you up till the final second of the game. They've done that 2 times in a row. If you follow the NFL, this is a letdown week, baby, for them. They're going to take Arizona lightly. Kyler Murray goes in. They're going to win the whole game. So I'm betting Arizona +6. Plus I'm betting the money line, which is I'm getting +210. So 100 will get me 210. That's what I'm going to do. Upset special Cardinals.
You just hate the Texans. You can't.
Yeah, I hate it.
You're blinded by hatred. I mean, they're 5-4 against the spread, so they do cover spreads.
Screw the Texans.
They don't necessarily cover spreads when they're the favorite. I mean, they were the favorite over Tampa Bay. They lost that game by the hook, which was, I think, that bad beat that Nate had where they took a knee instead of kicking the extra point.
Yeah.
And then they were a 3.5 point favorite against the Panthers, and they lost that game. So, I mean, when they're the favorite, they don't fare so well. But I don't know. I mean, I like the Cardinals +6. I think I like that bet. I love the
we all
Texans
like the Cardinals
as a team. I mean, I don't know. The Cardinals suck too, but I think they can cover a 6-point spread, especially with Kyler Murray. Okay, let's go to the Titans now. Stay in the AFC South, Dad's favorite team. Why don't we start with you, Dad? Titans +7. I know you've given up on this season. You think the Titans should be looking to 2028 or something. 2035 is like when you think they'll be good again. Titans +7. Jags, of course, best team in the AFC South. One of the best teams in the AFC, I think. They just keep winning. What do you think?
Well, we got a new theme song out. Titans suck, and you know it. I mean, that's kind of it. The difference between us and the Packers, like, we suck and we know it, right? I mean, this team now is it's got to go to a rebuild. Henry's contract is up at the end of the season. I don't know what they're going to do. They got a new stadium. They got, millions of dollars in taxpayer money for that. So probably got to find a way to keep him around. But this now team is all about rebuilding around Will Levis, their new quarterback from Kentucky. That's why they didn't let Tannehill go. Right? There's a lot of teams right now that would love to have Tannehill with hurt quarterbacks. They want him to mentor. They want him to mentor well on the bench. You know, he's a good guy for that. He's a very smart football player. But this team is in a rebuild now, and their offensive line is a complete and utter disaster. So I'm afraid this guy gets hurt. They've still got injuries on the offensive line. Their secondary, you showed without Byard last week, why this guy was an all-pro. Basically, they got lit up in the secondary like a Christmas pinball machine, guys wide open all over the field. Look, I'm not going to bet against the Titans, but I certainly wouldn't advise anybody to take the 7. How's that?
There you go. So no bad juju, but for everybody else, encouraging maybe a little bad juju.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to bet the Titans and the 7 because that's what I do. But if you're looking for straight up analysis, and we haven't won a game on the road since November of 22 against Green Bay.
Yeah.
That's over a year. Forget it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do the math, and I think we've done 28 weeks of football picks for the NFL in the last 2 seasons, and this is the first time John has not picked the Titans.
Yeah. He's still going to bet them, mind you, but he doesn't think anyone else should.
He doesn't encourage anyone else to just wantonly waste money.
Right, exactly.
He's just sick, is what he's saying.
I'll just waste my money. Because if I don't bet him, it's bad juju. Plus, Joseph's home. We're going to watch the game. I'm going to take the 7. Yeah. So Joe's home. Man. So you can't get bad juju. I really believe that. You can't bet against your team. It's just bad.
You need to be
come back to bite in the ass.
You need to be having this conversation in a church basement in Nashville with everyone else who can't stop betting the Titans. Just like, hi, I'm John, and I have a problem. You and Mike Vrabel in the basement there talking about.
Yeah, there's some guy in the back just going, tighten up.
Tighten up.
Like, I don't know. Will Levis is the future.
Tighten up.
Vrabel as the underdog. James, you like the Titans?
Tighten up.
No, I think I'm going to go the other way. Both teams are coming off blow-off losses last week, and I'm looking at Jacksonville 5-1 against the spread their last 6, 10-3 against the spread in their last 13 against AFC teams, and Tennessee is 3-6 against the spread in their last 9 games. And although Jacksonville, I believe it was the second time last week that they failed to score a touchdown at home, I'm thinking they're going to come out on top here, and I'm going to go with the 7-point spread.
Nate.
Yeah. I'm starting to think that all these coaching trends that we used to talk about all the time, like in the distant past, like last season and earlier this season, aren't real, right? The Belichick trends went into the toilet without Brady. Tomlin trends kind of went into the toilet with Pickett a little bit. And these Vrabel trends also seem to be sort of taking a downturn, right? In his career, he's been a machine. You always just bet Vrabel as an underdog. 66% cover. This year, they're 1-3 when they're underdogs of 3 or more points against the spread, and they're 0-4 straight up. So those trends don't hold this season anymore for Vrabel. The Jaguars, on the other hand, I think are probably a little bit undervalued after they just got smoked last week.
Yeah.
So I almost always try and not overreact to one game. And this is a moment where I'm not overreacting to Jacksonville's bad loss, and I'll just bet them here against the Titans, who have not done well as underdogs this season.
And the 49ers are maybe still the best team in the NFC. I mean,
that's the thing, right? They got healthy and they just demolished them.
Right. And I think we're going to see more of that as we move forward with the season. So, I mean, I don't know. Jacksonville does that. Jacksonville's not like elite. They don't hang with some of the best teams in the league, but they can certainly beat the Titans by 7. Dad, if you're in Virginia and you're looking for a little extra entertainment, how can our listeners in Virginia take advantage of Rosie's Gaming Casino?
Oh, you got to go to Rosie's. I mean, it's so much fun, especially got Thanksgiving week coming up and maybe a little time off. Rosie's, they're all over the state. If you go to Danville, they're right there in Collinswood. They're opening a new one in Emporia. You got Hampton, right in Hampton Roads, right? So you got Hampton. You got 2 in Richmond and 1 right by our big studio in South Richmond. That's right there on Midlothian Turnpike. Then you've got one in Roanoke in Vinton, just outside there. You've got New Kent where Colonial Downs is. So look, the fun thing about Rosie's is it is fun. You're going to go there and have fun. Now, if you're a new player, you get a card, you have a free spin. You can win between $20 and $1,000 in free play. My first one, I won the 20 and 150, so that's pretty good. I've some people on my show have won 1,000 on that spin, so you get that. The food is great, the atmosphere is great, the service is great, it's clean. But here's the biggest thing, right? The biggest thing is the payouts are bigger and the jackpots are bigger. Why? Because there is a lower take from the state of Virginia in Rosie's Gaming than any of the other casinos. Therefore, the players get a bigger payout. That's why they have the bigger payouts, the best jackpots, and the food is phenomenal. And then you have the OTB upstairs. You can bet football, whatever you want to get all the screens on. It is the fun place to go. The rosiesgaming.com, rosiesgaming.com. We got a lot of big winners this week. Cecilia in, I think it was Hampton, won 450,000 large on a $10 spin. That's a lot of money, guys. $450,000, right? One spin on the $10 play machine. So a lot of another guy won 155,000 on a 90-cent spin. That's all this week at Rosie's. Go to rosiegaming.com. Have fun, make money, and the food is great.
Dad, you may have to contact Cecilia to bankroll some of your Titans habit there, since she might give you a low interest loan for your inability to fade your favorite team.
No, I can't fade my team.
No, you
I can't
can't.
do it.
Let's do the Raiders Dolphins. Raiders plus 13.5, over under 46. Raiders team just totally in a tailspin after firing Josh McDaniel. Came out this week that he lost the locker room when he traded or decided to move away from Derek Carr, who had been the leader in that organization for a long time. A lot of things you can say about Derek Carr, but he is a leader. People, those football players, wherever he's at, they play for him. Nate, we'll start with you since you're in the state of Nevada there. 13.5 feels like a lot, but the Dolphins can cover a large spread.
It does feel like a lot, and I just don't know what to think about the Raiders anymore. I mean, I didn't think that a sentence we'd be uttering as Antonio Pierce is undefeated in his head coaching career in 2023. But here we are. I don't think they're that good. I think they're just modestly better than Josh McDaniels, just deliberately trying to lose them games is what it felt like. That being said, I have concerns about Miami because it's the second season in a row where they've started off just hotter than a house of fire, and they looked like the greatest show on turf, to begin the season. In the last few weeks, they haven't looked as good. They did the same thing last year, and a lot of that was Tua's injury, so kind of throw that out. But I'm worried that it's becoming a trend that people are just starting to figure out sort of how to slow down Mike McDaniel's offense. So all of that's a long way of saying I think probably the Raiders here, just because I think that they are getting better, and I'm not sure that we're able to accurately sort of quantify it. So I'm leaning Raiders.
James, 13.5 is a lot of points.
Yeah, that is a lot. It was my team playing the Dolphins. Probably 13. I would probably go all the way with that. I like the Dolphins to win, but 13.5. That's an awful lot. Even though they're 9-3 in their last 12 against the spread, and 5-0 in their last at home. But I'm going to pick the Raiders to cover here.
Dad, you're not afraid of a big spread. You like the Dolphins?
Oh hell no! Tighten up, baby. This is 13.5. I'd lay 17.5 against this team. They're done. They've quit playing football. Hey, Mark Davis did get a haircut though, so that was, I guess, a plus for the team. This team's.
Oh yeah, they're also undefeated with his haircut.
He's undefeated with his haircut, right. So you got to be careful.
There's
of that.
The trend you like.
But the Dolphins, look, they're when they get home in that heat, and they're going to be throwing the ball around like crazy, got all that speed. They love to run up the score. They need a big win. They just need a blowout to get off the field. This game, let me predict the score, right? 49-10. Blowout. You're going to have this game covered at the half, and then you're going to be laughing your ass off. Dolphins minus 13.5.
It's like 80 degrees in Miami tomorrow. What are you talking about the heat? That only works in September. It's like Christmas.
It's still hot. It's not like
No,
Pittsburgh.
it's not. I mean, it's not
Well, it's not
cold.
like Pittsburgh.
It's not like Buffalo. Aren't they getting snow there? Hey, speaking of Buffalo, when are we getting to that?
Yeah,
What's
but
wrong
it's
with
like
the Bills?
Vegas.
What?
Like they've never dealt with heat.
Yeah, it's Vegas. I mean, it's
I
like
mean, no, I'm saying
They're not like a
Miami's
cold weather
Miami's
team.
offense in Miami is different than it is on the road. I mean, the speed they got, they're going to have guys wide open all over the field. You know, they play the Titans in a couple weeks. I mean, I am petrified they score over 50. That's really, it's going to be like, remember they scored 70 against Denver? I mean, I'm just petrified they're going to embarrass my team and they set some kind of record. So, and it's in Miami. So, and it's on a Sunday night. We're going to get killed. Oh my goodness. Anyway, Dolphins minus 13.5. They're going to run up the score.
Giants at Commanders here. Giants are plus 8.5 after getting thumped by the Cowboys last week. Over under 37.5. So not a lot of trust in either team to get in the end zone. James, we'll start with you here. Anything you see of interest in this game?
Not one of my favorite games on the slate that we've discussed. Both teams haven't been playing rather well. I mean, the Commanders are a little bit better record-wise, but neither team has been overly good this season. Washington is, 5-0 in the last 5 November games, and plus, just the way that the Giants been playing this year. I'm going to go with the Commanders. I like them by 7. I don't know about the 8.5, but I like them within 7 points for this matchup.
Yeah, Nate, when you said you were teasing the Bears game, I thought you might be teasing it with the Giants, but no can do. What do you think?
No, I already bet my hard-earned money on this game. I bet the Giants, man.
What?
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I'm really deeply invested in this. Last week before the Giants even played and looked terrible, I put money on them, and then I watched them look terrible, and then I was like, this line is still crazy, and then I put more money on the Giants. So I'm over leveraged on the Giants. I guess where I'm at with it is this line is just ridiculous. Washington's not that good. Washington's not good enough to lay 8.5 points to any NFL team. I don't care if they're playing in the Oval Office of the White House, surrounded by 100,000 fans, with the greatest home field advantage of all time. There's no scenario where they should be this big of a favorite. So yeah, I like the Giants. I mean, I don't love it. I'm not happy with myself that I do this. But the idea that Tommy DeVito's worth if they have Danny Dimes, the spread's probably 2.
Yeah.
So the idea that DeVito's 8 points worse than Danny Dimes is nuts to me.
Okay,
so,
Nate, you that analysis has just fit the description of degenerate gambler right there. Hashtag degenerate. I mean, this is I'm going to give you the cliche, right? You're throwing good money after bad. This is just. I mean, how long are you going to do this? This team. One of our analysts last week, I think it was Mitch or it might have been James Tillman. Somebody said, "I'm laying the 17 on Dallas because how are the Giants going to score a point?" Well, they scored 7, but he was right, and I forget who said that. So, I mean, you're betting a team that can't score with a quarterback that shouldn't be playing NFL. That I think they got off some Division III JUCO practice squad. That guy's horrible. I mean, he's not going to be in the league in a couple more weeks. And look, Washington, I mean, Sam Howell's legit. Do you guys not, I mean, as bad as Washington is and all the problems in the locker room and Jack Del Rio and all the coaching issues, do you guys not agree that watching Sam Howell week in and week out, this guy is a legitimate quarterback? Got an arm. He's smart. He's getting better every week. So I like the Commanders here. I'm going to lay 8, 9, whatever it is, because the Giants are not going to win this game. So it's a matter of, in fact, they're not going to win a game all season. So it's a matter of how much you get beat by. But Sam Howell's a real deal.
I don't know if Sam Howell's the real
deal.
No, he's employed. So like there's that. Like he's not like looking for like a paycheck, but he's not. I don't know if he's the real deal. I think Nate's right here about sort of the just principled bet.
Yeah, but we
there-
did that last week. We said 17 was too many. We made a
Well, I mean
principled bet and we got our ass kicked.
but that's what principles are. You know, like you stick to them regardless of the outcome. You don't just change them every time something else happens that counters your principle. So the idea that the Commodores or the Commanders are an 8.5 point favorite over anyone is kind of ridiculous, especially the Giants, who can keep things close, especially
And
if they
it's a
get the run
divisional
game
game. They
going.
play
So
them all the time.
yeah, they do. These games are always close. I mean, I'm kind of with Nate there. Okay. We want to thank James Tillman III for joining us as always. You can catch his coverage of the Bears on GodzillaWins.com. Just go to GodzillaWins.com. You find all his picks and his analysis on his beloved Chicago Bears. You can find him on X at Tilljam. What is it? Tilljam3? Tilljam3. That's right. Follow him on Twitter. He's a great Twitter X follower as well. So, James, I want to thank you as always. Love seeing you.
Appreciate the time, guys.
Have a
Happy
great
Thanksgiving, James.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving to you guys as well.
Yeah, take care. We're going to bring in now our Steelers writer, Mitch Rogers, to talk about the afternoon games. There's Mitch. He's ready to go. I'm glad to see you, Mitch. We're going to talk some afternoon games here. We got a bunch of them, and we're going to spend a lot of time talking about that Monday night game, which is a huge game. But, Mitch, before we do that, I just want you to tell our audience, now you went – it's kind of funny because we've got Dad, who's not a Steelers fan, but gets these Steelers tickets all the time because he carries them in Nashville. So he's been to a couple Steelers games. And then you, who are a Steelers fan, and you were at the game last week, and you did a write-up at GodzillaWins.com for us that a lot of people really enjoyed reading because it was a little bit more about the fan experience and less about the game, which can always be a lot of fun. Whenever we have someone go to one of those games, I like to do those as well. So just tell our listeners that experience last week in Pittsburgh. Looked like you guys had really great seats.
Yeah, we did. We go once a year. It's my dad and his crew, and we call it the man trip. And women are allowed to come too. We don't care, obviously. But yeah, it's a great time. And like the picture showed, we got the tailgate pass in the gold lot, which is you can throw a rock and hit the front of the stadium and the front of the gate. The fan experience there is like none other, and it's appropriate that you're playing Green Bay, because whenever they do the polling of the best tailgates, it's always Green Bay and Pittsburgh, vice versa, and their fans are so knowledgeable and fun. And both teams, nobody had any expectations really about the teams as much. I mean, the Green Bay fans knew that their team was a work in progress, kind of the same situation, a quarterback that, is unproven. The Steelers, despite their 6-3 record, everybody in that tailgate understood that this team, they're probably not 6-3 material, but we'll take it. Win's a win. But the atmosphere is just amazing. And as John, as you know, when there's a casino in your tailgate parking lot, so where we used to tailgate was right there before the casino was built. They literally got rid of all the porta-johns, so they make you go in to pee in the casino. Which is a great move because obviously we're doing this show for a reason. I walk into a casino and it's just like the blackjack table. I'm going right to it, obviously.
Right.
So the tailgate experience is just amazing there. It's as good as it gets, and
Plus,
the game itself, the game itself is amazing.
Don't you agree that Rivers Casino has the best TV setup in the area for betting? I mean, they got all those big screens. The betting is right there. They got plenty of windows. It's a great experience. But it's like we went last week, and so you go to the casino prior to the game, right? So you spend 3 hours there. Then you walk to the game. Then you get out. Then you walk back to the casino. Spend another 3 hours there. So I mean, it's a full day.
I'm rethinking my Pittsburgh trip.
It is.
I'm
telling you, dude.
This sounds pretty fun.
Look, I mean, I've been to a bunch of Titans games, as everybody knows. And I like going there because that's my team. So Joe and I go, and Jack Nate went last season, a couple times this season. But the Pittsburgh Steelers experience, I'm not a fan. I went to the Titans game and then I went to the Packers game. the experience is unbelievable. And the fans are so nice. Like when I went, I got all my Titan stuff on, all my bling, got my hat, got my Titans gloves, the whole bit. And people were so nice to me because they're knowledgeable football fans. And when Derrick Henry had a good run, like people would actually say to me, sitting by me, hey, that guy's a beast. So it was a wonderful experience. The seats are, the way the stadium is laid out. The other thing they have is this huge bar right in I was in the first section. This thing is humongous. So it's maybe 2 deep. So they have this, you got the beer things, but then they have this call brand bar, which has got to be what? It's got to be 100 feet. So there's like 18 people there. So it's just a great experience. And the food is phenomenal. So
food is great. And when you go up there, everything's cheaper up there. I don't know if it's because of the sales tax stuff or whatever, but you go up. I mean, my move is I always go to a dive bar, buy a round, and it's only like $38 for like 18 people. And then I look like a hero. and that casino, where you talk about the game experience, you pay like $8 or $9 to sit in those leather lazy boys. And it's cheap. Right. You go in any other casino, that costs like $100. The guy goes, it's $10. I said, oh my God. So it's amazing. Our seats were great. The game was atypical for what the Steelers are this season. So, but hey, 6-3, and then what was awesome in that last like 5 minutes when you saw the Ravens and the Bengals both lose, that whole tone of the day. They were like, okay, Kenny Pickett can't throw for over 130 yards, but we don't care. There's a chance for this title. And you know what? 6-3 is 6-3. And in this AFC, now that it's all muddled up and there's nobody that looks perfect except for maybe the Chiefs sometimes, we'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, that AFC North, Deshaun Watson, now Joe Burrow, both out for the season. So, it's kind of wide open. I mean, the Ravens look pretty good, but you never really know. A note on the bathrooms, then we'll move on to the games. Nate and I were just in the bathrooms that they put in the casino. Nate and I were just talking about casinos and the tricks they play on you to keep you in there. If you've been in a casino, about kind of the labyrinth, the difficulty of getting out, how hard it is to find things like the bathroom. But one thing Nate mentioned yesterday, and this is true in Reno, and it's true probably a lot of casinos, is they don't usually put escalators side by side like in a mall where you can go up and down. They give you the up on one area and then the down on another area. So if you want to go back down,
you can't ever retrace your steps.
Yeah, you can't figure out how to get back to where you are.
Breadcrumbs.
Yeah, basically breadcrumbs. Or if you're like,
you're going to breadcrumb it and then have to crawl up the escalator going the wrong way.
Yeah, And it's funny because I've been in like the El Dorado in Reno a bunch of times, and I couldn't really map out the escalators, but I can tell you exactly where the craps table is. So that speaks to their ability to design.
Right. Exactly. I can get it right to the blackjack $25
minimum
table in a second.
You can see it in your mind, but you're like, where's the bathroom? Why are there so many mirrors everywhere? So, always a good time when you enter the air-conditioned
You always find an
board.
ATM in a craps table.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know where all the ATMs are. Forget that.
For sure.
And Dad never gets past the bar, so he's right next to the door. Okay.
That's where I sit.
We spent a little bit of time on that, so we're going to go quickly through some of these games, but we saved the Steelers-Browns game for you, Mitch. So Steelers +2, Browns without Deshaun Watson for the rest of the season, over under 33. We'll start with you. Mitch, what do you see in this game? Can the Steelers cover?
Yeah, what's crazy with that over under only being 33? That's appropriate. And I was looking at it earlier. The sharps are all in the under right now, so I don't know what that's telling you. It's going to be a boring game, but I don't think much changes with Deshaun Watson out. I know he played one good half of football. He was 14 for 14. It was amazing. They thought but they paid him $91 million for 9 games, whatever. So he's out of there. The wins above replacement by putting in DTR, the new quarterback. He doesn't have to do that much. In 5 out of the 6 Browns wins, they've been over 100 yards rushing. In 4 of them, 150 yards rushing. So the formula is pretty simple. Hand that ball off and try to get over 100 yards against the Steelers. The Steelers' weakness on defense is the rushing attack. They allow 4.5 rushing yards a game. So, I'm going to go homer. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Steelers and barely beat them, but this could go either way. It is a revenge game for the Browns. They think that Nick Chubb was done wrong and all this stuff, whatever bulletin board material that they need. Little brother's going to try to punch big brother. It's not going to happen. They haven't won a division title since 1989. and they always have this little brother syndrome, and they're going to get knocked back again and go 0-2 against the Steelers from the season. Boo hoo! Bye Browns. We cover and take the under.
Well,
Take the
I
under.
respect you because you don't fade your team like Nate does and Jack does. So it's just bad juju, and it drives me nuts. That's why I bet the Titans. I already bet my 100 to get in the 7 so that I can lose it. But listen, this is the worst 6-3 team in history. But like you said, they're 6-3. The Titans are 3-6. I'd rather be 6-3 than 3-6. However, Tennessee should have beat you guys at that game on Thursday night. We dominated that game the whole time. You had a 91-yard drive at the end to win, and then, we're throwing interceptions. So, look, the Pittsburgh just isn't that good of a football team right now, and they haven't beaten anybody. So I'm going to go with the Browns. I agree with your analysis. I don't think Sean Watson in, Sean Watson out. Doesn't matter. That defense, that running game, I'm going to go with the Browns minus the 2.
They beat the Ravens.
Yeah. Nate.
Ravens they didn't beat the Ravens. Ravens beat themselves again.
Well, a lot of teams are crying.
Go ahead, Nick.
So I already bet this game. This is another one that I bet like before they even played on Sunday. I played the Steelers plus 4.5.
Nice.
I played the Steelers money line plus 170, and I played under 38.5. And then Deshaun Watson got injured, and everything just plummeted. And now all the lines are all screwed up, and the total's like 33. So I'm just going to take a victory lap on my closing line value.
That's awesome.
And just not probably hedge anything and just let it ride. I mean, the total's just crazy though. This if it goes down another half point, it'll be the lowest total for an NFL game since 2008. So 15 years, which is nuts.
That is nuts.
And it was probably them. It was probably them in Cleveland. It was probably the same match.
Probably.
Remember that Thursday night matchup where it just the ball stuck in Heinz Field?
Yeah. So one of the idiosyncrasies of this show is that we try to get through every single NFL game, which means we got a lot of games to get through in the next maybe 5 to 6 minutes. So we're going to have to do some rapid fire. Let's try to keep our comments to just 30 seconds. Then we'll kind of catch up. And one of the reasons is because I really want to talk Eagles Chiefs for a while. That's such a big game on a Monday night. We don't usually get a game like that on Monday. So we'll start with the Bucks Niners. We're pretty quick. We can go real quick over this. Bucks plus 12, over under 41.5. Nate, what do you think?
I think this is probably just like the under. I mean, the Niners offense looked incredible against Jacksonville, but they still, didn't go over this total. So I like the under again. I mean, Bucks have a pretty good run defense. The Niners defense, sort of speaks for itself at this point in the season. So under.
Mitch.
I'm going to take that. I'm going to take the 12.5. I'm going to take the Niners. Brock Purdy is 6-0 and he has Eric Williams at left tackle and he's got Debo back. They're going to crush him.
Bucks overlay. I'm going to take the 12.5. They have a good run defense. This is going to be a closer game. I don't know how Baker Mayfield does it, but he keeps getting touchdowns. He keeps keeping Tampa Bay in the game. They just broke their 4-game losing streak. Now they're back in the hunt to win the division. Niners laps. I'm going with the Bucks.
Let's look at the Jets Bills next. Jets traveling up to Buffalo. Jets are plus 7. Another big spread here.
Yeah, baby.
39.5. Jets. Nate, you like the Jets here? I mean, the Bills haven't looked like amazing all season.
I love the Jets here.
Me too.
The Bills just look broken. And 7's just too many to lay in a divisional game again. I mean, the Jets aren't good, but they're better than this. Particularly, this is just a reputation 7 points. The Bills, are not that team right now. The defense is terrible. Josh Allen looks like something's wrong. Jets all the way.
Mitch.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Jets as well. Same reason. I just don't believe in this Bills team, so I'm gonna go Jets plus 7.
Yeah, Dad, I don't really believe in the Bills either. What do you think? I mean, you love the Jets.
Jets, baby. I'm going with the Jets. What the Jets should do, they should call Mike Vrabel. They should call Carthorne. They should beg for them to release Tannehill so they could get him there, maybe make a run at the playoffs. Give Ryan a shot. They're not going to re-sign him. Just get Tannehill. Pick up the phone. They'll beyond the trade deadline. They have to waive him. Maybe clears waivers. I don't know. Jets plus 7. This Bills team, you saw that game against Denver? You can never bet this team this season. There's something fundamentally wrong with this club after that game. No way they should get beat there, like the Jets in 7.
West Coast time. Seahawks at Rams here. Divisional game. Seahawks are -1, but the Rams have been a tough team at times. Over under 46. Nate, you like the Seahawks -1?
I guess just because I'm not sure what the quarterback situation is in LA. It looks like Stafford's probably gonna play, but I'm not sure. This line hasn't been moving much, so I guess Seahawks. But really, this probably isn't a bet for me.
Mitch, you got to play?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going Seahawks. I got my West Virginia stuff on right now. So if you know me, I'm going Geno Smith all the way. He's up and down. He's not the same quarterback as last year, but I think he's going to be back up this week. Let's take the points of Geno.
Did you go to West Virginia?
I did.
All right.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Right. So I live in Pittsburgh. I'm only an hour away, and Jack's brother's home. He got home last night with one of his baseball player friends, so he stayed over and took him to the airport early. So Joe's home from West Virginia, so he's had a great fall. He's had an excellent fall. So they think, just aside for those that follow Joe, they told him he's going to get not a lot of innings, but a lot of appearances. So he's going to be this setup guy right now. So, but he's had a great fall.
For West
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And they're coming off the best season of ever.
Well, they won 40 games, and
I used to cover the team a little bit in like 2000.
Yeah.
2000.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun season. They open against Stetson and DeLand in February, so we're going to that in Florida. I'm on the Geno Smith train, baby. This Seattle team, they're better than anybody thinks. They win games. Like, I don't like Pete Carroll as a coach. Everybody knows that. I can't stand the guy, but he wins games. And that front office, these are probably the smartest front office in drafting in the NFL today. This team is better than you think, and they're sneaky. So I'm on the Geno Smith train. I like the Hawks here to win the game -1.
Let's travel out to Denver. Vikings at Broncos. Minnesota traveling to Denver. They're a 2-point underdog, over under 42.5.
I love this game. I love this game.
You're probably the only one. I'm kind of annoyed it's a Sunday night game. Nate, we'll start with you, though. We know you're teasing it. Just kind of run us back through that tease, and then we'll go to Mitch.
Yeah, I mean, I teased it up to Minnesota +8.5, and did that with the Lions to get them -1.5. My reasoning is basically I just wanted more points with Minnesota. I kind of like Minnesota in this game anyways, but I just wanted to move it off that kind of funky number and get it to kind of cross some key numbers, just to get it away from that 2. So yeah, that's sort of where I'm at. I think Josh Dobbs is the real deal. I mean, maybe Minnesota just is an easy place to play quarterback. It certainly seems that way for Kirk Cousins and Josh Dobbs. So I guess I'll just roll with the Vikings still.
Yeah, Mitch, +2 is kind of a weird spread there. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going Minnesota all the way. Josh Dobbs, that's the best story, and I love this game. I mean, the Denver Broncos are on a roll right now, and despite the records of the game, the momentum that both of these teams have are fantastic. So I think it's going to be a crazy game. And Josh Dobbs' story is just amazing. Steelers drafted him. Wish we still had him, but Minnesota, I'll take him with +2.5.
Dad.
Well, the Vikings have won 5 in a row. I mean, they're playing great football, and if Kirk Cousins was there right now, they're back in there. They're back in. Hey, could they win the NFC? They're back in that talk. And look, Dobbs played we lost 7 in a row, and he played 6 of the games. Dobbs played 6 games for the Titans last season. He didn't win a game, but he kept them, somewhat competitive. Blew that game at the end in Jacksonville. Then he goes to Arizona, wins a game against Dallas. So prior to Minnesota, he had only won 1 NFL game. Gets to Minnesota. They believe in this guy. He's really smart, and he showed some stuff. But the Vikings are playing inspired football now. Denver, no way they should have won that game last week. I know they're tough at home. I am looking forward to this game. I'm off next week, so I get to actually watch these late games instead of having to go to bed at 8. I'm all over Minnesota. I think it's going to be a fun game, fun watching Dobbs. Vikings are going to win this thing, and they're going to win 6 straight. Vikings.
Our NFL saucy game of the week here. Eagles at Chiefs. Huge Monday night game coming into the Thanksgiving holiday. Eagles are +3 traveling to Kansas City. Overs 45.5. We will start with Dad. because he needs to tell us about how to take advantage of Red State BBQ and the
Listen.
amazing sauce they sell.
Let's not mess around. I know you're listening to me right now, and I know you love barbecue sauce, right? Especially during football games. You can be grilling out, you can be doing it. I put this stuff on everything: hot dogs, hamburgers. I even put it on cheese and crackers. I love my Red State BBQ sauce. Now, there's 7 different flavors, so it depends on what you like. North Carolina, no. I don't want anything to do with vinegar. No, I'm not for that. But my 2 favorites, Kentucky small batch, apple bourbon, which is still in the refrigerator, Memphis sweet. These is the best barbecue sauce you're going to have. And David, our sponsor, loves Godzilla Wins, watches it every week, big sponsor. But we need your help. Check this stuff out, especially around Thanksgiving. You're going to be grilling. You're going to have meats. I'm going to put on my turkey. I love my BBQ. All you got to do is go to redstatebbq.com, redstatebbq.com, promo code Godzilla10, get 10% off, and you're going to love this, and you're going to get hooked on it because this is the best barbecue sauce you're ever going to get. Also, you might try the apple bourbon. It's a little bit different, but I like that. Also, this morning, I put my apple bourbon on scrambled eggs, right? So I'm a believer. redstatebbq.com, promo code Godzilla10, 10% off. Thank
Dad,
you.
why don't you give us your pick while you're at it?
Eagles, baby. Eagles. It's the best team in football. This is the Kansas City, who knows, up, down, whatever. Right now, somebody has got to beat Philadelphia on a consistent basis. Now, they have a weakness, and that is I don't like their linebacking crew. I think they're vulnerable in the middle. I've said that from the beginning of the season. When you've got Zach Cunningham, who got cut from Texas, cut from Titans, playing middle linebacker, I mean, that's all you need to know. So that's their weakness. Can Mahomes exploit it? We're going to find out. But this Eagles team, I mean, they are tough. And I know Jalen Hurts got into a little altercation and, he didn't make anything of it. But Eagles at home, I mean, at home, that with those crazy fans, I love the Eagles minus the 3.5 or what? I'm sorry. What's the spread?
+3.
Yeah, it just went down. So
Eagles +3.
Now?
Eagles
It's
+3. That's
3.
your pick.
Yeah.
Mitch, let's get to you now. You like you share the same verve for the Eagles?
I sort of do. What I like about this matchup, it's kind of synonymous of what's going on with the NFL. This on paper, this should be offensive matchup, but it's not. The 2 defenses are great. I mean, Philly's number 1 or 2 at stopping the run. Chiefs only allow 16 points a game, so it's going to be. I'm going under. First of all, I'm taking the under, which I hate. I don't even want to watch a game when I take an under, but I'm going to take the under, and I'm going to take the Eagles here just because I think Kansas City turns around and beats them in the Super Bowl later. And I'm going to take the Eagles with the 3.
See, I love taking unders. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but there's no greater adrenaline rush than when you got the under at 45.5 and the point total is like 44 and it's like the third quarter and you're just like, no more points, baby.
No, you have to stop.
Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't happen. And it's just an incredible win. Nate is no stranger to that feeling. Nate, you hate the Eagles, but you like to bet them. Eagles +3.
I think I like the Chiefs here. I mean, it's tough. I mean, for my money, these are obviously the 2 best teams in the NFL. I think the Eagles are better, but going to Arrowhead, Andy Reid is historically just outrageous off of a bye, even though the Eagles are coming off of a bye too. I'll lean that. I like the Chiefs here, I guess, especially -3 +100. So it's no juice right now. I think I'd take that bet.
Yeah, the Andy Reid angle off a bye. I mean, those trends are almost undeniable. And we talked a little bit earlier about how some of these coaching trends, the Belichick trends, the Tomlin trends, and the Vrabel trends, maybe this season that hasn't been as true. But Andy Reid off a bye, I mean, the dude smashes everyone, and he's a cover machine. So I kind of like the Chiefs there as well, play that trend and try to win a little bit of money on a Monday night. We want to thank Mitch for joining us here for the last 30 minutes of the show. Mitch, we love having you on. We love your writing. We love everything you do for us with the Steelers. Can you tell us how people can follow you if you're on X or Instagram or anything like that?
Yeah, on X, it's at Mitch Rogers 18. And I'm on Facebook. You can type in Mitch Rogers on Facebook or Instagram. You'll find me right away. There's not many Mitch Rogers out there, but I know I appreciate it. I love this opportunity. And
Where do
it's
you
a
live,
great show.
Mitch?
I live
Where
in
do you live?
Warrenton, Virginia. So I live about 35 miles south of DC.
Okay, so you're only about 4 hours from the Berg.
Oh,
3.5 hours.
Yeah. 3 hours from Morgantown, 4 hours to the Berg.
Perfect
Gotcha.
spot. Perfect spot. We want to thank James Tillman III and Dan Angel for joining us as always. We will be back next week with another edition of the Godzilla Wins Pick Show, talking college football rivalry week and a big NFL week as well. Don't forget to tune in next week. Thanks everyone for listening. Up next, you're in the War Room.